everyone. All right, I'm going to give this a minute to see if this works. I tried to do something fancy with Facebook, but I don't know. Maybe it didn't work. So anyways, hopefully you can see this either in the Rent to Rent group or on my page. This video will be available anytime. So you can, if you can't watch the whole video right now, you can come back and watch it later. So this will all be saved on the Facebook. So coronavirus has been an absolutely huge topic lately. Now, I try not to watch the news. I try to keep everything positive and happy in my mind, but of course, I know this is happening. This is worldwide, and this is starting to impact us as renters, as landlords, as service accommodation managers. So I wanted to talk about a couple of strategies, some tips on how to manage your rent-to-rent business, your property business through coronavirus and beyond into the economic downturn that this is all coming. I believe and experts have been saying that we are on the edge of a recession, and they have been saying this for quite a long time. I think with coronavirus jumping in here now and the media making such a big deal out of it, and the government's making such a big deal out of it, and it just snowballing into a recession. So we need to be prepared to manage our businesses, to take care of our customers, our landlords, our tenants, our guests, ourselves, and our families through all of this. And I think this is totally possible. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to manage our mindset. I see so many people saying, this is a crisis. My business isn't going to survive this. This is terrible. What are we going to do? And as soon as you start thinking thoughts like that, your mind closes down to all of the opportunities that are available out there. So let's kind of walk that through. So if you think my business is going to fail because of coronavirus, you immediately start to feel fear, you feel tension, you feel panic. And when you have those feelings, the actions you take are not the right ones. You are going to be acting from scarcity. So that fear is producing that scarcity in you. So you are going to be basically hoarding. So this is what causes us to start hoarding resources. You are going to start closing down. So you're gonna not be doing what you need to do. So you're not going to be taking an active approach with your tenants, with your landlords. You're not going to be, advertising for new tenants properly. You're not going to be doing what you need to do to continue your business. And as a result of those actions or those non-actions, you're basically proving your thought true that coronavirus is going to ruin your business, because you are feeling the fear, you're feeling the scarcity, and you're not taking the right actions. So the first thing I want you to do is start to think better thoughts. Even if it's something like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can to take care of my tenants. I'm doing the best I can to take care of my business. As soon as you start turning your words around a little bit and having thoughts like that, you open yourself up. You probably feel a little bit calmer when you think, I'm doing the best I can. When you think there are opportunities in every crisis. There are opportunities in coronavirus. You start to think and feel more resourceful. You start to be more positive. And when you have that positive, calm, resourceful feeling, you start to take the right actions. So it opens up your mind. So that way you start thinking, okay, what can I do? How can I help my tenants? How can I make sure my landlords feel safe and secure? How can I make sure myself and my family are secure? And that starts to just open up your business and to more profits, to more money, and to more opportunities. Because again, there are so many opportunities out there, but you will not see them unless you've opened your mind to it. So that is the very first thing you need to do. And this can be difficult if you are spending all of your time listening to the news, and because you're going to be watching all of the negativity. So you need to, first thing I want you to do is turn the news off. You do not need to know what else is happening out there. The news, we don't know if it's real or not. So much of it is overreported. It's clickbait headings. It's, they are skewing the news to sell advertising, to get views on their websites, to sell newspapers. So they are making it what they want it to be. So turn it all off and let's work on ourselves. I wanted to mention this. I've created a special kind of 6-week coaching program. So this is all free. I've made a Facebook page for it. Let me just pop it into the comments here. I'll make sure I put a separate post about this if you can't see the comments, but check out that Facebook page. And we're going to be going through a lot more kind of strategy and tips that I can do in this kind of free, quick video. So turn off the news. Let's start working on our mindset. So let me look at my notes. All right, first thing, so rent to rent. I've got a couple of tips for you depending on which route you've gone down. So we'll talk about service accommodation and we'll talk about HMOs. So let's look at service accommodation first. So service accommodation with our rent to rents. The service accommodation industry it's going to be tricky. People are canceling their bookings. I mean, Airbnb has sent everybody that had a booking a message about how you can cancel if you don't want to travel. I mean, flights are getting shut down. We're all probably have our service accommodation here in the UK where it's not quite as, crazy where we haven't shut everybody out, but lots of countries are no longer able to fly in. So your bookings are going to be less. Businesses are not having their employees travel right now. So you are going to see your bookings disappear and your bookings dry up. So this is the time to not freak out. There are things that we can do. So have a think on how can you help people in the current economy? And think about, all right, there are people that need to self-isolate. What about people that live in house shares that need to self-isolate? It's kind of hard when you live with a house full of people. What about people in house shares that somebody is self-isolating and that person is afraid? They want to get out. Maybe they want to stay in your service accommodation. What about people that are stuck in the country and they can't get back to their home country because the borders are closed? They're going to be looking for a place to stay, and they might want to stay in your service accommodation. So start looking for the opportunities. Don't close your mind and think, oh my God, everybody's canceling, nobody's traveling anymore, nobody's going to stay in my service accommodation. So you need to look at it that way, and you need to start thinking, what other kind of marketing channels can I use? I saw an amazing post today where somebody just shared in the local Facebook kind of buy and sell group. And there are local Facebook, kind of properties available to rent groups. And they made a nice post saying, look, if you're self-isolating or if you need to kind of have a place to stay, if your travel plans have been canceled and you're stuck in the country, then we've got places that you can stay. So come and chat with us. So that's the kind of thoughts you need to be having. You need to be looking for the opportunity. Of course, it is going to be stuff that you have to work on, and you're going to have to put the time and the effort into it. It's just not magically going to happen, but you can do it. You can work through it. The other key thing that you need to be doing is you need to be reviewing your numbers. You need to, and this is going to be for service accommodation or HMOs, any property, any business that you've got, you need to know what the exact facts are. So you saying my business is failing, it's all going to shit, that's not helpful. You need to know what exactly is happening. How many bookings have canceled? How much revenue do you have coming in? What are your costs, your actual costs that are already kind of scheduled and have to go out? What are those? And then what is the shortfall, if there's any? So once you know that, once you know your numbers, again, you can start making a plan. So maybe, usually with service accommodation, you're going to expect a certain kind of occupancy rate. So you're going to expect there to be voids. This might just be one of your kind of lower winter periods where there's more voids. Are you really losing money? Or can you make it for the next couple of months? How much money have you made over the last, 6 to 12 months? Can you use some of that to cover you for the next couple of months while things are, not quite as smooth as they could be? But in order to know that, you need to know how much you have, how much you're spending, and how much will be coming in. And then this is a time to be talking to your landlords. But let me cover HMOs first, because this will cover everything. So HMOs, you need to be basically doing the same thing. You need to be looking at your numbers. You need to be looking at your tenant demographic. Now, some of you will already know this, but you if you don't know where your tenants work and what kind of employment they're in, you need to be checking that now. Are your tenants kind of hourly restaurant and bar workers who are going to be hard hit when, the government said don't go to restaurants and bars, or are they salary workers that they're still going to work, everything's okay? So who are your tenants? Are they going to be struggling? Are your tenants from abroad? Are they only here for like a short period of time for a job, and now they're going to be panicked and trying to get home to their families? They're going to be giving up their contracts. Who are your tenants and what are they doing? You need to be looking at that and understanding that. You need to start looking at what is the support for them in the community. There is a lot of talk about, what the government's going to have to do to support, tenants to continue to pay their rent. It's going to have to support landlords who aren't able to collect rent. It's going to have to help them support to pay their mortgages, things like that. So you need to start looking into those things and follow those conversations. The NLA and the RLA are a great place to watch for that. I've seen them posting quite a bit on what's happening and what's coming out. You need to start communicating with your tenants. So how are you keeping them safe? What do they need to do? So again, talk to them. Send them an email about what you're doing to keep them safe in their homes, how you're going to limit maintenance to only emergency maintenance so there's not random people trekking around their house, how you're not going to do live viewings anymore because you don't want strangers in their house. You're going to do all video viewings. How are you protecting them? And start the conversation so that when they start to have problems, they're going to communicate with you. They're not just going to be completely shutting you out and disappearing, and then you don't know until the rent hasn't turned up. You want to give them information on what to do if they have to self-isolate. So how do you self-isolate in a shared house? Provide them information on, you need to create a bathroom rota. You need to make sure you're checking on your housemates. You should be having a WhatsApp group. Stay in touch. How can you help each other? So start building that community feel that you guys are all in it together and you all want to help each other. There is opportunity here to make sure your tenants have a comfortable home, that they're not completely freaking out, that if they are going to start losing their job or getting less pay, that they know you're there to help them. So you need to check into this. So how much are you going to have in a shortfall? How many tenants have actually left? How many rooms do you actually have empty? How much in your costs are you missing? Where is your shortfall? What are the actual numbers? Because you can't start to come up with any actions until you know what the facts are. And you won't know the facts unless you actually sit down and take the time to do it. So take the time to say, how many of my tenants are struggling? How many of my tenants have left? How many have told me they're going to leave? What happens? What costs am I absolutely committed to? So what's my profit margin? What's my shortfall? What's my loss? And then you'll be able to start thinking, all right, what's the next step? And the next step, if you think there's going to be a shortfall, is you need to start communicating with your landlords. They are your customers as well. So you need to be, working with them to make sure they feel comfortable that you're going to be able to go forward. If you think you will struggle to pay the rent to them, you need to start talking to them sooner rather than later. So you need to come up with a plan. And that's why you need to know your numbers. So maybe you have to pay a little bit less for the next couple of months, but you tell them, all right, over the next couple of months, I'm going to be able to pay, £200 less, but in 6 months, I'm sure we'll have a plan, or I know we'll have a plan. We'll be able to do X, Y, and Z to cut these costs and to increase our numbers. We'll be having more profits then. So after, 6 months in whatever month that is, so let's say September. From September, we will start paying you the normal rents plus an extra £50 a month until that debt is paid off, or until kind of our shortfall is paid off. So start working with them on that, because if you wait until you can't pay the rent, then it's too late. You'll have broken that trust with that landlord. Whereas if you approach them with a sound plan ahead of time, as early as possible, you'll be able to kind of keep the trust, keep that relationship. And most of them know things are a little bit tough right now. And they aren't going to be able to switch around and do anything else. So you coming up with a plan and saying, yes, we're going to have to pay you a little bit less, but here's how we're going to make it up, here's when we'll be able to make it up, and here's some resources for landlords. So if you're going to struggle to pay your mortgage because of this, here's some resources to look at, because they're going to be out there. The government is going to be making provisions for this and helping people. And your landlord owns that property, they will be able to kind of tap into some of that. So that's another reason why you need to stay up to date on what provisions are coming out there for landlords and property owners, so that you can share that information with your landlords. All right. What else did I want to talk about? A couple of just general tips is to start holding your money in cash right now. We are probably going into a recession, an economic downturn. This is a time to have cash, because again, there are going to be amazing opportunities coming up. So we are going to see, this is a great time where, all the unscrupulous landlords and letting agents are going to start to struggle. They're not going to be communicating with their tenants. They're not going to be caring about their tenants. They're not going to be caring about their properties the way you are. So they're going to start to struggle. This will be a great opportunity to scoop them up and help them. If you are managing everything, if you're keeping your landlords happy and your tenants happy, you might be able to help another landlord who maybe all of their tenants have left because they've done a crap job. You're going to be able to come in and get that property for a bargain when prices have dropped, because they won't know how to find people. They'll be panicked because of coronavirus. You won't be panicked. You'll have a plan. You'll be able to say, look, I can help you. And maybe their rent was normally, £1,000 a month. Now you're able to negotiate it down to kind of £600-700 a month. And eventually when the market picks back up, you will have an awesome deal. And the same with buying properties. Like, this is going to be the time, but you need to be prepared for it. You need to have your current business in a good place. You need to have your mind in a good place. And you need to just make sure that you've made a plan for everything and you have cash available. So hold that cash now. Don't jump into anything yet. I'm going to wait on opportunities for a couple of months' time when I think it will be the best time to do it. Let's see. Yeah, key things are try to make everything a win-win. The more value that you put out into the world, the more value you're going to get back. So keep thinking, how can I help my customers? How can I help my tenants? How can I help my landlords? How can I help the people that want to stay in my service accommodation? The more you can help, the better off everything is going to be. And the more money you're going to make, the more opportunities are going to be presented to you. Start thinking some good questions to start asking yourself. What would you do if your revenues were going to drop 50% next month? So again, that's a good question to be asking. What would you do if your revenues were going to drop 50% next month? It opens your mind up to start thinking about, what will I do? What can I do? Instead of saying, there's nothing I can do. My business is going to fail. That closes your mind off. So what would you do? You can ask yourself, how can you maintain or grow your cash without changing your revenue? So again, another question that's really going to get your brain thinking. How am I solving my customers' biggest problems today? So how am I solving landlords' problems? How am I solving my tenants' problems? How am I solving my guests' problems? And the more you can do that, and the more problems that you can solve, the more opportunity is going to be available to you, and the more your business is going to be able to move forward. So keep that positive mindset. Go back and think, how can I help? Again, you've got service accommodation. Even if you've got rooms available, you can say, are you stuck for a place to stay? Have your travel plans changed? Do you need a place to stay? I've got rooms available. If your service accommodation, are you self-isolating? Come and stay in my service accommodation. That way you won't get your family sick. You won't have to get your household members sick, your house share members, your housemates. What is the opportunity that's available there? It is there. Don't panic. For viewings, if you, I can see Roran said he's got tenant viewings next week and none have canceled. Another great way, and one of the things that we're doing, is we've got videos recorded. So my person that does my viewings for me recorded a short video, went through the house with her mobile phone, showed people around just like she would for a normal video. And now we've got that up on kind of Spare Room and Open Rent to say, instead of doing live viewings, we're going to take care of our tenants So that prospective tenant gets to see, look at, they're really taking care of their tenants. They don't want, lots of strangers coming into their house right now. We're taking care of our tenants. We're only doing video viewings. Check out this video. And it shows them through the house. So just keep thinking of ways that you can make things easier for everybody. The opportunities are out there. It's all about your mindset and what you're thinking in your mind. So hopefully my computer didn't cut out too much there. I think I might have lost you guys for a little bit. Again, I've set up a Facebook group, Extra Cash Through Coronavirus. So I'll put up another post on about this, and I'll send an email as well if you're on my list. You'll get that. But that's where I'm going to do 6 weeks. It's going to be absolutely free because I know people are stressed out. I know people are struggling. And it's going to be providing tips and strategies for how to make extra cash as we go through coronavirus. Because this is only kind of the tip of the iceberg. As we're hitting coronavirus, we're going to see more people out of work. We're going to see more businesses struggling, and we're going to see an economic downturn. And I want to make sure that you are ready for that. And you are ready to take advantage of the opportunities that this is going to present. And you are going to be able to add value to your local community and your customers, because that is the most important thing. We can't rely on the government to do this. We can't rely on big businesses to do this. It's us, the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, that are going to be able to support each other and our communities. And we can kind of keep ourselves safe and make money at the same time while we add value and help everybody else. So if you are interested in that, let me pop a link to it in the comments one more time. Just pop over there. It's going to be for everybody. So even if you're not in a property business, this is going to cover business, any business people. So hopefully that's helped. I don't see any questions in the group here. If you want to get on my mailing list, go to renttorentacademy.co.uk and you can sign up for my newsletter there, and I will send a couple of reminders about the Facebook group. Otherwise, just click the link to the Facebook group. If you're following on my page, you'll be able to see the link. If you're on the group page, you might not be able to see the link. Anyways, I see people are going through to the Facebook group now. And yeah, we will spend the next 6 weeks together being calm and building our businesses properly to make sure that we are covered and safe. So hopefully that's helped. Hopefully you are thinking, okay, this isn't so bad. I can make it happen. I can take care of myself, my family, my business through everything. There are opportunities out there. There are people there to help, and I'm there to help other people. So remember, get through your numbers. Make sure you're calculating everything, understand profits, losses. Where are you actually at? Are you actually losing money right now? Or are you only thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose money right now? Raid says, should we go ahead with any new rent-to-rent deals at the moment? If it's a good deal, then go for it. So if you're going to make money and you know you can find the tenants, then yes, go for your deals. You might even be able to go back and renegotiate with the owner right now. I mean, again, this is a good time. They're going to know things are tough. And you can go back to them and say, hey, everything's going a bit funny right now. We still have people interested in our properties, but there's not as many of them, and we need to protect ourselves. So we can no longer pay you £2,000 a month. We're going to have to come back, and we're going to have to pay you. We can only pay you $1,800 a month. But you can either have us working with you where you'll get $1,800 every month, or you can go out there and try to find another tenant. But people aren't moving around as much. So use this as an opportunity to renegotiate, to make sure you're getting the best deal possible while still helping other people. So you'll still be helping that landlord, because if you don't do that rent-to-rent deal and they've been counting on it, they're not going to find another tenant. It's going to be really, really difficult for them. So you're still helping them as you're helping yourself. Should we advise tenants to get universal credits? You can. So again, pull together as much information as you can to send it to your tenants. So if your tenants come back to you and say, look, we're struggling, I don't have a job, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent, then you can send them information on universal credits, housing benefits. Send them maybe to Citizens Advice, should start having more information on what people can do, because this is going to be a more common problem. Not everybody is thinking opportunity and how can they be better? How can they get through this? Lots of people are thinking, oh my God, everything's gone wrong. My company fired me. My company told me not to come to work. They're not going to pay me anymore. I'm done. I'm just going to go sit home on my couch and eat and watch TV and watch more news and get more depressed. So you need to be there to be able to support your tenants, to give them the information that they need so that they'll be able to pay you. So you need to be proactive on this. So yes, advise them about universal credits, advise them to talk to Citizens Advice. Watch the NLA and the RLA, because they're putting out lots of really good information on what to do, and they are kind of at the cutting edge, and they're going to be paying attention to when the government starts releasing, more money and more funds for tenants, for small businesses, and for landlords. All right. Yes. So come and join me in the Facebook group. Otherwise, I will be back here next week. We'll see how things are going. I'll be talking more rent to rent. And yeah, that is it. Don't worry. We are going to get through this together. I promise. Yeah. Thank you very much, and keep smiling.